Oh, cool. It didn't record it.
Great. I feel like we should start with like a groovy like groovy baby or something like that. This is Healing with the Disco Queens. Come on, take a ride. We're here by your side. Sit down, shut up and grab a drink. You're healing with the Disco Queens. Well, I'm Susanna.
And I'm Alex.
This is Healing with the Disco Queens. Ooh. Yes.
Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Tonight we are drinking the infamous sweet red wine.
Not infamous.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to tell you why. Why did I just touch that like I was a news reporter?
We are here tonight.
We're here
to talk to
tonight.
you.
We're to report the actual news here.
So tonight we are introducing our new podcast. Woo woo. Actually getting it off the ground, which is crazy.
Yes.
We've been talking about this for like
2 years.
Yes, 2
like,
years
at least.
Just like had a brain thought, and here we are.
Not a brain. I had a brain thought. My thought brained.
My brain done thought. So that's. This podcast is all about how to navigate friendships and stay friends for 10 years. We're celebrating our 10-year friendiversary this year.
Yes.
And just like navigating life and life through your 20s.
Welcome.
We're almost 32, so.
Listen, this is all about if you feel like, what am I doing wrong? I promise you, same. Same.
Yep.
Welcome. You're in good company. And so if just to make you feel a little bit more normal and what it's like to see the ups and the downs of what a friendship is.
Exactly.
So, because sometimes, I don't know, I feel like, not that friendship gets a bad rap, but it's like, why aren't you texting me? Why aren't you calling me? And I'm like, oh my God, like, why are you obsessed with me?
Yeah, why are you obsessed with me?
And it's like, but like, that's not necessarily, life happens.
Exactly.
It happens, and like, I don't know. Grace.
We'll get into it. Going along with our little drinks, our little theme, obviously, of the 70s, groovy people, healing with the Disco Queens, we decided to name each episode of this podcast a song lyric based on the topic that we are going to be talking about. So, the topic of today is all about how we met.
Yep.
Young and sweet.
We were not 17.
Not 17. We were 18, 19, but we were little dancing queens.
We were absolutely dancing queens, and I love this song because I feel like it's the perfect song just to be young, wild, and free. Like, it's the start of your, end of your teenhood, start of your 20s. Like, it's really the last time that it's okay not to have things together.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, I'm a believer that, honestly, you don't have to have anything together ever. But, generally, it's okay when you're 18, 19, people think, like, they're like, oh, you're still figuring it out, it's fine. When you're 28, 29, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
I'm still in school, thank you.
Thank you. It's fine. We love it. It's fine. But I think it's just everybody loves a good night out with their girls.
Yep. Little dancing queens.
We are.
So that is why we have the title and the song picked out.
Yes, which I feel like takes us right into why we became friends.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to go down memory lane a little bit.
Yes.
And we are going to tell you just like a little surface level of the stories that was the development of our friendship. And we won't get into too much depth or incriminating, but we wanted to kind of like, this is healing for us also, so it's like low-key an open forum therapy session. But
like you know, Susanna's a music therapist, I'm an art therapist.
Yeah.
We deal with other people's feelings and their other stories all the time, and I don't know how many times I'll bring Susanna up in session, because I'm like, listen, I work with teens, young adults, kids, specifically my teens and young adults. I'm like, hey, I get it. I know where you're coming from. I can understand. Your story is always your story, right? And also, like, I understand what it was like being 20 years old and being like, oh my gosh, Chicken Little, the world is falling in.
Yeah.
And my stories always lead back to Susanna. They always lead back to Susanna. Yep. So before we, like, really get into all the different eras of our friendships, I wanted to, like, go over kind of what our impression was before we even knew before we genuinely knew this.
Exactly.
And so, like, for me, so I'm a year older than Susanna. And we met, well, we knew of each other because we were in the same sorority. And so during recruitment, I distinctly remember, so if you don't know anything about sororities or recruitment, basically you have days that do certain things and you gotta pick whatever you want. Anyway, different episode, different time. But the last night's when, like, the new members are choosing who they want. It's a real emotional time. There's always crying. There's always tension. There's always drama. And let me tell you some drama. Because Susanna, here's the tea. Susanna was a legacy of a different sorority that was on our campus. And that just means that Susanna's mom was in a sorority. Actually, you're a double legacy.
My aunt was also in that sorority.
And so, everybody was enamored with Susanna. I didn't have Susanna during recruitment, so I didn't know, but everybody that I knew was like, oh my gosh, Susanna. And I was like, okay, cool, like,
yay.
Okay.
She's a cool girl.
Big summer blowout.
Yeah.
And so you posted something on Instagram and it had a blue emoji. So then last night when, like, all the final decisions were being made, it's almost like The Bachelor. Here's your rose.
Yep.
You posted a blue emoji with something and everybody lost it. They're like, oh my goodness, she posted a blue, like, everybody's like, she's coming us. And I was like, either this girl's, like, teasing everybody and everybody's about to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
Or, like, I don't even know. Anyway.
I'm also crazy, so, like, what do you mean? Like,
no.
Yeah.
And so, like, obviously, the rest is history.
Yeah.
We were in the same sorority, and that was really my first memory of you and, like, your name. And then I coached Susanna. I helped coach kind of the first event that all the new members are in for homecoming, and it's one of my favorite events.
Yeah.
But Susanna, I just will never.
I know.
So homecoming, you always had a theme, and that year's theme was a Disney theme, and so the event we did, it was like a lip sync battle essentially, and so we did Cheetah Girls.
Yep.
And you were Jackal Johnson. If you are here with us and you are of our own age and you don't know who we're talking about, shame on you. If you are younger, you need to go educate yourself.
Go watch Cheetah Girls.
It's great.
Basically, he's like this really obnoxious, crazy, like, Music producer, yeah. And he's the comic relief. And so now in my adult years, I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Right.
However, as a little 18-year-old, I'm still going through lots of self-esteem issues and whatever. And so I did not like that. First of all, I was like the only girl, like, playing a male part, which now I'm like all over that, right? And so I'm like also trying to, like, fit into the sorority. I'm brand new. And so I felt like, you know, oh, well, I have to play, like, the boy part or whatever. And it's comic relief. When I wanted to be a cheetah girl, you know what I mean? And so, exactly. And so that was my experience of lip sync. I mean, I have fun, because I have fun in whatever I do, but I just remember that
Jackal Johnson.
I know. No, I did a good job.
You did a good job. You were great. It was great. It was fun. I always liked coaching that because it was like y'all's first experience. And I just think I always liked how excited everybody was, because, I don't know, the longer you do things, you're like, do I really like to be a part of this?
Right.
And so those are, like, my first two memories before I knew Susanna. That was like, here's this new member.
We weren't even, like, friends for that whole semester. Like, we knew each other, but we weren't super close. Like, I got into college and I went, like, you know, and hung out with a fraternity a lot, and I was still, like, trying to get to know people in the sorority, and so my energy was, like, put elsewhere. But my favorite event that we would do, favorite little sorority activity, was called STEP. Now, side note, I was a percussionist in high school, so I love like all the beats, everything there is about rhythm and beats, right? And that's basically what step is like making beats with your body, I guess. So, yep, it's like the SpongeBob movie with SpongeBob and Patrick.
Get it, Patrick.
Go Pat.
Go Pat. Go Pat.
So,
like,
that's exactly.
Pow!
That's exactly. That's how step is. So, that is how we got together.
Yes. Well, really.
Not like the whole reason, but.
No. The real reason is because of boys.
Yes.
And breakups. And I distinctly remember, so for step, you would come back early. So if you, like, during winter break, it was typically like 4 weeks. And we would come back like the first or second week of January when you didn't have to be back for school until like after Martin Luther King Day. And so we would come back early and I get a text. I lived in the same town that we went to school in, so like Alex didn't have a winter break. I just stayed in my apartment.
Right.
I didn't go home. I was home.
Yeah.
And you texted me and was like, "Hey, my name is Susanna," and
literally introducing myself on because she didn't know me, like.
And you were like, I heard that you were going through a breakup, and so am I, and I got invited to this house party. I wanted to know if you wanted to come with me. Blah 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 blah. That's the beginning. The beginning of the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say the beginning of the end. That's crazy. But yeah, no, like that. I had texted Alex. Honestly, it was crazy. Like I don't even remember that. Like I don't remember like actually texting you, but I remember the party.
Right.
So, but yeah, like I got in touch with this girl that I thought was cool who was on my step team, you know, and I don't even know who told me you were going through a breakup. Like that's the thing. I'm like, how did I even know that information? Apparently, like
everybody always knew everything.
Exactly. So anyway, but we decided to go out to this party and we got ready. Was that those pictures that we got ready in my apartment? In my dorm? Was that night?
No, are you talking about the one with your roommate? And you were wearing the blue tank top? And
No, I was wearing this gray tunic that I always had.
a gray tunic.
Yeah, I know. The tunic and leggings fad, like, LOL. I'm dating myself. Also, this is just an aside, but I feel like nowadays you see girls who are the age that we were, and the uniform for going out is literally mom jeans and a black top. Mom jeans and black top. Listen, we would wear business casual. So, with the big chunky necks and the big, yes.
I still have mine. I'll have to
we
pull
would just
it out.
wear recruitment clothes, basically. Like, yeah. Business cash for going out. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was 2015 Fetty Wap era. If you know, you know.
So yeah, we literally went to this house party, and it was a snow day, so like there was no school, there was no anything. We went to this house party, and
I remember we didn't drive. Michaela drove because she is from Illinois. That's also Alex's other best friend, and so she's my friend too. But yeah,
no, like we were the same like
major.
class.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that wasn't her first major either.
Oh.
Yeah, so she became an art, because she knows a lot of the art people that were below me.
Okay.
But we were the same age. So
Gotcha.
we also met during recruitment.
Interesting.
Anyway.
But yeah, so she drove us because she was like, I'm from Illinois, I got this, and we're just like little small town Tennesseans. We don't know how to navigate snow on the road. And so yeah, I just remember that it was like bad. Like not good driving conditions, and we're going to a party.
We were. And like I just remember us standing in this random college house.
I don't know whose house it was.
I don't know
whatever
whose it was, but I do remember standing in the kitchen because we were practicing our step, and so we would step and we had dances, and Michaela was making the dance for I think it was our ending, and it was like this new song that was out, and
yeah.
And it was, I just remember us all, because there was like more of us there. It wasn't just the three of us. There were probably like 8 of us there. And we were just like, oh, this is so cool, play it again. Like we're trying to do this dance. Really, we just looked like flailing chickens because we didn't know the dance yet because she only had part of it. And then also, I don't know if I'm necessarily very coordinated. I tried my best.
You were great! What do you even mean?
I just had lots of attitude and lots of hair.
Exactly. That's all you need.
But the next day...
Well, mind you, I just have to say, because that was just like how we were. There were like 20 people at this house party.
There was a lot of people.
Not, there were tons of people. People that we didn't even know. And we're just like hanging out. 18, 19 years old, just acting ridiculous in this like person's... So that's how we were. And that was like what fueled it all, because we realized like, oh, we can be like real dumb and stupid together. And
did I just find my Patrick?
Exactly. Did I just find my Patrick? Thank you.
Hello. But like, so it was the day after that really was like, okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah. But like, we're best friends.
Because we were walking to your dorm in the snow. I do remember they were like trying to plow, and there was just mounds of snow. And we're just like goofing off, laughing, whatever. And we were saying something about like, I wonder if this is how polar bears feel. And like, we're just like screaming at the top of our lungs, making polar bear noises, whatever that means.
I don't even, we're just being ridiculous.
And I was like, so all growing up, I was like, oh, like, you're just really loud, like, just calm down, like, you're really hyper.
Me too.
And here we are, just making a fool of ourselves, but having the best time.
Exactly. Like, we are loud, we are dramatic, we are a lot, and if that's too much for you, find less. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what we got taught our whole lives. And so we finally, like, found our mirror. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we found our person. Like, it's crazy. And I know, even on camera.
But even though, like, here's the thing, is I know all the stories, I know everything we're, like, trying to say or get to, and I'm still over like,
isn't this great?
Just go cry.
Side note, we've been talking about doing this for like 2 years, and it's like actually happening. We're like manifesting all of these really cool things that we want to talk about. So
I'm so excited. We already have everything planned. So
exactly, stay tuned. But anyways, I digress.
Yes.
So we're like
we're screaming in the parking lot.
Yeah, in the parking lot of the snow, acting like polar bears. And that is the reason that Alex is named Polar Bear in my phone to this day. Almost 10 years later. So, crazy. Crazy how that happened. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was like the semester that we absolutely was the closest. Maybe not closest, but like, I think everything was fresh and new and exciting, and like, we did just mirror each other, and we would go out to parties, and we did step, and then there was always events when it came to Greek life. And like, I enjoyed it. It was great. It was wonderful. I look at my schedule back then, and I'm like, how did I do that? I'm exhausted.
I literally looked at one of my old planners, and I was like, heart palpitations. Like, during big tests of mine, or like, I had a performance that week, or like, crazy.
We don't know.
I don't know how we did that.
No.
Anyways, but yeah, so that semester, we would literally, let me just say, we went hard in the paint. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say about that. We would go out every single Friday and Saturday night, no matter what. And that's just who we were.
Yeah, and it was fun. I think this was a time, specifically, I don't know if this is how you felt, but for me, that semester became like yes man semester, and I was so tired. I had so much anxiety growing up, and there was so much anxiety in that fall semester prior to us really like knowing each other and
knowing me, knowing you.
And so like, but I was like, you don't get that time back. You're only 18, 19, 20 years old once in your life, and I don't want to sit here and look back at 29 years old and be like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Like, why didn't I do this? And so I think that semester was very much, yes, ma'am.
We did it! Like, we did it! Yay!
Check. Onward.
And we did do that. Yeah, exactly. So then we have another event. Yes. Like, we had, recruitment. I also did rope pool my freshman year, which I was on B team, which, anyways.
We'll have to describe what rope pool is.
I know, because they're like, what is rope? It's basically tug of war, but.
But you're in the ground with your feet in the ground. Well, listen, we'll explain on another episode. That just means you have to come back.
Exactly.
Okay?
And then we would have like step.
And
then
line
we had
dance.
and line dance, which I never did line dance.
Oh, I did my freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I loved it. Also, that was the year we won step, and I wanted to do step, but I chickened
was
out.
So cool, dude. What? I love it.
You only did it 1 year, though.
I know.
Well, we'll have a whole story.
Anyways,
but
so,
All Sing.
All Sing.
Oh.
I
Pitch Perfect on steroids.
Yep. As a freshman, I was music chair. I think it's an elected position, right? Or it's I don't know if it's a voted position. I think they just like elect somebody.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Anyways, there's like so many layers of like
it's been too long.
the government of sorority. I don't know, but basically I was music chair. Okay, so I was in charge of all things music, which included All Sing, which was an event that a music fraternity put on, and the sororities and fraternities got to participate. Well, there were only 2 sororities that participated that year, so it was like a 50-50 shot.
Just head to head.
Yeah.
And like, I'm a competitive person. I think that was what I enjoyed about being in like the sorority is I didn't play sports anymore, so like I still had this competitive stuff to like go to, and so
Yep.
We wanted to win.
Exactly.
We wanted to win.
And we did do that.
We did. We won.
Foreshadowing moment. We did win.
But you like that was the first time I met your family.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom definitely tells a different story. I don't remember. Here's the thing is, I don't remember. Because I remember seeing that they would come up so often. I can't pinpoint the exact time that we met. And your mom's like, the first time I met you, and I was like, oh no, was it a good thing?
I don't know what happened.
Did I say good things? I don't remember. Trauma, anxiety,
Yeah.
blocked.
Blocked. Our brain just blocked that out. But yeah, no, so I was music chair, and I feel like my musical skills are like so much better now, obviously. I mean, like, I am in a music career, and so it's developed, but I always thought that my brother was like such a better musician, which, I mean, he is. Like, let's be real. If you know my brother, he's amazing. Anyways, little shout out. But my dad is also a musician, and so I called upon them to like come help me with this huge project, which was
huge.
My first first experience. I knew nothing. I had no prior knowledge
I'm so confused at how you end up because I know who was before you.
Yeah,
it was my big, and before her was my grand big.
Yeah.
So to give it to a freshman and to have no knowledge of what this event even is, like, basically we mashed up a bunch of songs and danced to it and sang. Right. And we would add the element with a cappella because we were that good.
Yep.
I loved that we could do it a cappella. Mm-hmm.
So basically what happens is you write the show because it's like you have this whole mashup of like all these different songs. And that's certainly what I did with my brother and my dad's help. And we like sat in my dad's office one day and we just like wrote out the entire thing, and it's really great. So you should go see it on YouTube.
I was just thinking, but we'll have to save that for the actual Greek episode because there was such a funny story during that because it was just so funny. But we'll have to come back to it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we had all of that. First time that my family was like super involved in my sorority, and it was great.
Yes, it was great because, like, I mean, both your parents were Greek. And so, like, that was very much, like, my grandfather was Greek. And so anytime I would ask him, he actually, the advisors one year, like, gave him a card and he was, like, an honorary king of whatever. And I was like, because, let's face it, like, he might as well have been paying dues too.
I mean, with how much stuff that he did.
How much that he did. Like, I will go around, like, the house sometimes, like, the chapter house, and I was like, oh, he made that, he did this, he did that, he did blah, 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 blah. And, like, that was one of the ways that we bonded, because, like, that's stuff that he would do in his own fraternity, and so we got to bond, and even, like, the little stuff of, like, the, like, sorority on sorority rivalries, and, like, who did you play in intramurals, like, the rest of my family were like, oh, okay, cool, and my grandfather's like, yeah, well, did you win, like, did you get them, like, did you...
Exactly.
Did you get them? And I'm like, of course we got it. Like, of course. Or no, like, we're not going to talk about it. Like,
yeah.
So I feel like your family was very much the same way.
Oh,
Also, side note, for the people out in the world, I always compare your parents to my grandparents. I feel like they have, like, the same energy. They have the same, like, dynamic.
Yeah.
And so, just another thing.
Interesting. Soulmates.
Yes.
So,
Well, I literally,
listen there.
literally, I've told my grandparents, I told like their preacher, and literally anybody that will listen to me, I'm like, I am convinced we were supposed to meet. Somewhere, somehow in this universe, we were supposed to meet because just the way that you ended up at our university and how I ended up at our university so here's the thing is your parents, my grandmother, went to the same university. Obviously not at the same time. But that was like, you were like, oh yes, like my parents went here, I'm going to go here. And I was the same way. My grandmother went here, I want to go here. Well, that university closed.
Yeah.
It literally closed. Yeah. And so...
Well, then I was going to go somewhere like toward Middle Tennessee. And I like literally was fixing to get a scholarship for it. And I turned it down because there was just this thing. I had a feeling, and at the time I was majoring in psychology, so I really liked the program. I really liked the psychology program, and so that's why I chose to go there. But anyway.
No, I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced that we were supposed to meet. Mm-hmm. Some form, version, if you believe with multiple universes, things like that, like you are a canon event.
Yep.
Oh,
exactly.
You're canon. Always, forever.
Yep.
And so, and I think that first semester, like, yep. And then just seeing what happens over the next 8 years. Mm-hmm. Not that, and like, spoiler alert, guys, it was not always peachy keen. It was not peaches and cream all the time.
Right.
I think, and that's one of our strengths. I will also always say is our strength was how we were able to just give that space and give that grace of like, okay, like you're gonna reach out, you'll reach out, and like, but not being mad about it. Like we would go a month or so without talking, and then be like, oh wait, like
what's up, girl? Like how you been? You know what I mean?
Pick up right where we left off, and so
that's how it's always been, and like. I don't know. I feel like throughout this whole podcast, like the reason we're doing this is because we feel like there are ways that you can navigate like friendships and relationships and stuff. And we have experienced friendships and relationships that did not end well because these things were not in place. And so it's like one of the first piece of advice is just like giving each other grace. You have to give people grace. You have to be patient. Like, you know,
take me to church.
Exactly. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, we gotta get back to it.
Yep.
We
then
went out of the country together.
Yes, we went to New Zealand with your choir.
Yep.
Y'all needed people, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you come?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. So that was like a really pivotal moment. I feel like for our friendship, like. When you go on a trip with anybody, I feel like that's like you see the test of time. Like you see how people operate like under stress or just like in an airport in general or, you know, definitely in a foreign country where you don't know, like, I mean, we changed currency, we changed time zones, like all the things. And so I don't know, but it was the best time.
It was amazing. If you can travel.
Yeah.
Always travel.
Exactly.
So I think that was kind of like the natural like concluding chapter of like your freshman year, my sophomore year. Now it's the summer, and that kind of went into our next era.
Yep. We called it, and they were roommates. Because we were roommates.
Yeah.
For like 4 months.
4 months, and then our apartment flooded.
Yep. Exactly.
But like those 4 months, because here's the thing. What I remember from those 4 months. Is we were coming back from chapter retreat, we went to recruitment, like we were still, like we just picked up right where we left off. and like you were about to get a little, I was getting another little, and it was really exciting. Our littles were best friends, and we're like, oh, this is so fun, and like we were doing Greek stuff, and then boys happened.
Yeah.
You started dating someone, I started dating someone, and like it just wasn't not the same after that, but like I just think we were distracted. So
yeah. Well, and with my boyfriend I had at the time, it came with like a whole life too. Like a whole friend group, it was my job. I worked in a nightclub, and so did he. So
yeah.
there was that.
And then our apartment flooded, and then really we never saw each other. Not never. That's so dramatic, Alex.
Yeah.
But seriously, like, so here's what happened. So our apartment flooded during Christmas break of my junior year, your sophomore year. And you, like, you were packed up and moved out before, like, we even knew what was really going on.
It just, like, all happened so fast.
I know. So-and-so, and they already have a space in their apartment. So then our apartment complex was going to make the three of us live in that apartment while they were constructing.
Which is insane.
And one of the roommates was like, that's illegal. You can't do that. And, like, he was, like, pointing out stuff on the lease. And I was like, I'm so glad you live with us. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. And so we ended up living in the apartment above but adjacent. You were down here and we were like up here.
Yep.
And like we were like the next floor up. And even then, like, we still didn't like see each other.
Exactly.
It was like such a weird time.
I know. Well, and like, again, I was just like living with the guy I was dating at the time, you know, so I was just over there and staying over there. So there was that, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
our speaker said no thanks.
Said to be quiet.
Powering off.
I'm done.
It's also 1:30 in the morning, by the way. This is just who we are. Whatever.
This is happening, hell or high water.
We're doing it.
But yeah, no, I think that you started making friends with them and like was getting really involved with them. I was getting involved with one of like our other roommates, and like he was in a fraternity, so I was helping a lot more with that fraternity, and like also our sorority stuff, and also just regular schooling and trying to figure out what's next in life. And I don't know, I think college is such a confusing time, and then equally the next chapter of your 20s is also, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So like I said, All Sing was one of my favorites events, and like that was always where, even if I don't know, that was like the next time, because you did do rope pool, but like you didn't do step, and so All Sing was like kind of our next time period together, and like the energy just wasn't off. It was off, Alex. It was what, and like we didn't have any pictures together. Like you weren't in charge, but like you were definitely helping, and you were also friends with more people in the music department during that time. Yeah. So like you were really embracing that part, and I don't know, just energy kind of shifted, and like even so, like once again, that's kind of like the concluding chapter of like your college year. It's the last event you do, and then you go to summer. And when we came back for chapter retreat, like we were still hanging, like we had like a little video. I was like drawing a picture of our president on like a little piece of paper and like holding it up. It wasn't a rude picture. It was just, I just wanted to draw. She was also my big. So I was like, hee hee, I'm gonna draw your face. Hee hee. And then like I moved apartments, like you were still in the same apartment, but like energy just hadn't returned back to the surface yet.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah. Until you broke up with your boyfriend. Break up with your boyfriend.
So what happened was we had chapter retreat that following summer. So this was summer in between my sophomore and junior year, and you going into your senior year.
Right. This is my last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that still on?
It is.
Okay, I can't see it.
Yeah. So that was me going into my junior year, you going into senior, and we had this chapter retreat, and I remember like we, hung out a little bit, but I was also going through a breakup. And when I got back to like from chapter retreat, I there was just like a whole lot of tension. Like we were arguing, like it was just not me and my ex at the time. Anyways, so, or boyfriend at the time. So, my ex at the time. Anyways.
They're an ex.
Yes, they're an ex now. So, let me be clear. Anyways, so Alex at her new apartment had this game night. And, I don't remember who all was there. I just know that we were there and our boyfriends at the time were there. And, I just remember it being a really good night. Like, we were kind of rekindling this, like, you know, dull flame. And
not the dull flame.
The dull flame. It was like a needle. It was just a little candle at the time. We now have a bonfire, by the way. Our whole house is on fire. No. So, anyways,
we're like Burning Man.
Yeah. We're like at this house party or this, you know, game night, whatever, and it's just like super fun. And this was a time where I was like, oh, like stuff could actually work out between me and my boyfriend at the time. And then we go home, and the next day we had to go get my car from Alex's apartment, and we had this huge blow up fight. And I was like, yep, that's it for me. And so we
good night.
Yeah, so we ended things, but it was like the game night was very pivotal because I was like, oh yeah, I remember, like, I was rekindling this with Alex, and then, like, you know, maybe things would, like, you know, be good, and then no.
LOL. I don't even, like, here's the thing. When we were making this outline, you said that story, and I was like, was Alex present in the room? Was Alex there?
You threw a party, like,
I don't remember that. Isn't that so funny? But that's common. Like, there's so many things. That's also why I keep everything, because there's so many memories I don't have and I don't remember, and I'm like... Well, like the other day, there's a picture on my phone from me in high school, and I definitely, we were walking around Walmart, and I was like, I don't know these people in here. I didn't know anybody in the picture, and I finally had to text my mom, and she's like, oh, that was so-and-so's birthday party, and I was like, oh, and like immediately it came back, but that moment I was like, who are these people? So, me not remembering the game night's not too surprising.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. So, anyways, so that happened, and then we hit recruitment.
Yes.
That year.
And recruitment 24/7, you were around each other all of the time.
Yeah.
Which is great. And also, like, when you're around 100 plus girls all of the time.
It gets to be a lot.
Well, like, I just think everybody gets testy and everybody's just, like, ready to be on their own and not in heels and not in a dress and not in this code and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's stressful.
Exactly. And you're always like on, especially like during recruitment. So this was something else, is like I was notorious for getting hoarse during recruitment. And I remember as this year in particular, because I did the year prior to, but I was always a talker. I was always the one, I mean, if you know.
Surprise, we have a podcast.
Exactly. Like I was always the one on the floor talking because I can talk to anybody, like whatever. Yeah. And so I can connect with a lot of people, and I also had to sing that year.
You did.
And I remember being at your apartment, and you made me that
I made you and Mary Beth that tea.
Yep.
It's this nasty concoction, but man, y'all,
it worked.
Y'all were both so hoarse, and I was like, our whole last part of this, I was playing the piano, and y'all were singing, and I was like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Exactly. So,
nasty tea. But it works, man.
So I did that and sang my little heart out and met a very new and strongly connected friend.
They sound like they're part of the mob.
I don't know how else to explain that, but...
Well, it was a friend that... I don't know.
Have you ever seen The Roommate? Okay, so... It was...
We
can cut that out.
Hello.
That's fine.
Here's the thing. We're trying... Because I don't know. Here's the thing. For the fourth time. I do think that boundaries were crossed. I do think girl code was broken. And one of the things about that particular friend is I think for you, we'll turn this into therapy, right?
Yeah.
This is about us.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, I think it felt very infiltrating and it felt very invasive because if you introduce somebody to, like, oh, this is my friend, Susie.
Yeah.
I was like, that's always my go-to, but I was like, that's you, of course. Hi,
Sally.
Susie.
Great.
Sally. There we go. So if you have your friend Sally, and Sally meets Susie, Susie meets Sally, but then when the minute y'all go and hang out at some other time at some unknown location,
Yeah.
like it feels like, okay, but like,
I introduced you guys.
but why am I not invited? And like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
If that happened with like one person, that'd be one thing. But
Right.
when it was everyone and my workplace and my career, my department, like.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, it was all happening to me, and, I mean, later on in our episodes, we're going to talk about, like, boundaries and, like, actually, like, me, specifically, learning to place them, because I'm still learning. Anyways.
We're people pleasers.
Yeah.
And
It's just,
we've both been on different journeys on how do
Exactly.
we put those boundaries in place and, like, without coming off as this mean person, because if you put a boundary in place, that means you're mean.
Yep.
But it's not. Boundaries, there are healthy boundaries. And
Exactly.
I honestly think that this particular person was your first trial.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always heard growing up, like, if you, what was it? It was a saying, but I don't remember it. But basically, like, if you are questioning why you're, like, being left out, that means you are a conversation at a table that you're not even at. And I think that applies. I think that applies for that, and I think it applies for some of the friendships that I had during that time, too. Stay tuned. That'll be coming.
Anyway, so, yeah, it was happening all around me, and infiltrating, I think is the word, and it didn't bother me as much until this one. You mess with her. Like, you try to get close with this one, and not me. Like, it's, yeah. That was it.
Well, basically what happened is we were doing the same event. And, like, you needed clothes for it. And I was like, oh, you can just come, like, borrow mine, whatever. And so she came over, hung out, got my clothes. They fit her great, whatever. And then, like, was just hanging out with me and my roommate. And Susanna's like, well, why wasn't I there? Why was it, like, what? Like, what's happening? Because here's the thing. I think I can understand why, if she was there for me, only because we were doing the same event. That was the only reason I was the captain. Yeah, this was senior year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the captain. I was the captain that year. So I was always having people come in and out. But then it didn't necessarily always stop there.
Right.
And it was like trying to hang out with my roommate who was really good friends with you.
Since freshman year. Since before her.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that puts some things in perspective.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. You know what? That's okay.
Anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, that was like, I don't know. I have a different read. I'm a people pleaser, but I have my wall up. I'm like the little knight at the top of the castle. Like,
yeah,
I see you, but you're, you're such
not that.
You're like such an open book, and you're like, you said you're gonna love me, here I am.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I do feel like that particular relationship felt very infiltrated, and maybe even like partial betrayal. But then after that, I don't know. I feel like senior year was coming back to what we always had.
Yeah.
And, like, that's when my senior thesis was. You came. You got to deal with my hectic of a family. You need to drive.
That was the first time I met your family. I had met your grandparents.
Of course. Everybody met my grandparents.
Before. That's not true. I had met your brother.
Yeah, he was always at the apartment. But, like...
I don't know if I met your mom.
Probably not. Like,
I think she might have come to the apartment, like, maybe one time.
We need a dry erase board to explain my family.
Yeah.
But everybody was there.
Everybody. Definitely the first time I met your dad.
Everybody, yes. And so, Yeah, and I distinctly remember you and our friend Clark went to dinner with us, and I was like, this is so crazy. It was also the first time I sat between my parents in like 15 years, and I was like, I don't understand.
Hello, well,
I don't know what's happening. So
yeah.
but like it felt like, and then you like sang at the graduation. Even though we didn't get a picture at graduation, but I didn't get a picture at your graduation either. We're just bad at taking pictures.
That's fine.
Honestly, it's fine. They're gonna be like,
We're working on it.
They're like, this is my best friend forever, and they're like, where? They're like, you would have no pictures. But you know what? My favorite story from that whole time is the fact, let's just back it up for a brief second. So 18-year-old Alex was very like on time, anal retentive, extremely anxious, had panic attacks every single day. And so like this whole transition through college, I was not doing well mentally. So by the time senior year rolled around,
Yep.
my very last final was like
Of college.
This was it. The end.
Yeah.
Susanna's like, well, hey, like, let's go get food at the Mexican restaurant. We're like, okay, cool. So we get the food, and like, we end up meeting people, and they're like, oh, we're going here. So they're going to the local bar. We're like, okay, cool. Let's go to the local bar. Here we are. Boop, 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 boop. Going. Alex almost oversleeps her final.
Yep.
But I am like in my bed, and all I hear is like bang, 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 bang. Alex, get up! And it's this one right here, like getting me up,
Literally saving her.
literally drop me off at the door of the building, and I like run in as like time is starting, and I like sit down. Like I think I made a B in the class, and I was like, perfect. I graduated. Like C's get degrees. Like
Woohoo!
here we are.
Yeah.
But I look back at that time so much because like, even me now wouldn't have done that. I was like, okay, like, let's, you know, I don't think I would have been as, I'm so done, let's go.
Yeah.
As I was then.
Yeah. I think at that point, too, we were still in the era of, like, because you were saying, like, hey, like, let's go get a drink. Some people are going to this bar. Let me tell you right now, during that era, if it's ever like, let's just go have a drink, it indeed was not just one drink. Like, it was one bottle. It was a bottle. It was a bottle of vodka. Like, it was something. You weren't drinking vodka. That's a no. Tequila. Yeah. So that's definitely what happened. And then you were dead. So
anyway. Yes. So then, Alex, that was like our first. So that was the 3 years that we actually lived like in the same state. And then for the rest of our friendship, we have not been in the same state except for like 1 year.
Yeah.
And so I moved to Louisville, and I was pursuing my master's in art therapy. And this kind of started the era of like parallel universes. Like you were starting to end your time at our university. I was still in school, but it was a different version of school. You were making new friends. Did y'all work together?
no. So I met these new friends who were like super amazing people. Like we just hung out all the time, but it wasn't just like attached to the hip.
I knew them before Susanna did. That's what's so funny is like, I distinctly remember going to one of their houses, and I was like,
yeah, they just came into my place of work all the time. I was a bartender. I wasn't at the nightclub anymore at this point, but I was at this restaurant, and so what?
I was just thinking like we totally forgot about your 21st, but we'll just skip over that one for now.
Did that even?
Yeah, it would have been right here.
Yes, that did happen. Yes, it did.
Because I have a video of us singing congratulations.
That could be an entire thing.
That's just like
That's a whole
one night
episode.
story.
Yeah.
It will take us an hour.
My
to tell it.
21st was a lot. But yeah, so I had these other friends that I'm still friends with today, and they're like really awesome, and like, anyway, I spent more time with them. But here was the thing. Alex and I started dating friends.
Yes.
We were best friends who were dating best friends. And
doesn't that sound dreamy? Doesn't that just sound like the plan?
It indeed was not dreamy. Like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now.
It was
Anyway,
a struggle.
For a time it was fun though. And like, that was the thing too, that going back to like, you know, the points that we're making of like being friends for so long is like, you have the grace and you have the patience and then you have effort. And I feel like that part of our friendship, that little piece, a lot of people don't put in to friendships that they like want to be in. Right. And so Alex would drive down constantly. Now granted, like you were from that town.
But I literally saw you more than I saw my family.
Yeah.
I basically stayed with you fall of 2018.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. I remember we put my mattress in the living room. I lived with 2 other people at the time. So we would just infiltrate the entire living room and kitchen area. Like, we are posted up for the weekend.
Yes.
And we would go out all the time still. And like, that was the thing. And so it was just us 2 and our boyfriends and having a good time. We took a trip together.
Were y'all dating at that time? I guess I don't remember.
Well,
I blanked all that out.
Yes, we were dating at the time.
I blanked it out. Yeah, and then you came up for fall break and you
did come up for fall break.
You came up for fall break and you came up for my birthday. I had like, probably it's to this date is my favorite birthday. We did like a 90s theme. I had the little Britney mic.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
She shares the same birthday as Britney, so.
Britney Spears. That was like my favorite fun fact at 5 years old because it was on the back of her Barbie and it said December 2nd, 1983? 1? I don't remember. I think it's an odd year. I should know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so that was like super fun and then.
So I was only there for 1 more semester.
Literally.
Yeah, so I was only there that fall semester.
So you came up, because you came up twice, so.
That was my first year teaching.
Exactly, because you came up on your fall break.
So I never came up to Louisville when you lived
in the other apartment.
In that first apartment.
You saw my second apartment, which was definitely cuter. It had a full brick wall. I just wanted to take that wall with me when I moved. Like, come on, just come on.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. It was old Louisville.
Right. But that was the thing. Yeah, so I was like going through my last semester of school. I had my
your praxis.
Oh my God. I took the praxis, if you know what that is, for teaching 6 times. Sure did.
I thought you took it 3.
No. That was rough. Oh, that was a rough time. So I took it 6 times because anyways. And I was also doing my senior recital.
So I definitely think that this time kind of was interrupted by the third era, which we titled as survival mode.
Yeah.
Because this is when COVID completely paused the world.
Literally.
Like, literally. And it was so strange living in Louisville during this time because Louisville had such different restrictions than anywhere that I knew of in Tennessee.
Yeah. And I mean, I lived in a small town at the time and was teaching there. And so that was the whole thing. Like, going through the education system and navigating COVID. We didn't work. Like, our town could not accommodate for, like, the virtual education. So we literally stopped. And that was weird. I mean, I was living with my parents at the time. My brother was actually there too because like his school had gotten out. He was still in college. So it was a really weird time for everybody. But like, I think as our friendship, like we did not talk at all.
No, we were supposed to see each other in June and that didn't happen.
LOL.
And like we would have like coffee dates here and there. But, like, you did come to my birthday that year.
Yes.
Oh, that was a friend's birthday. It was super fun.
But yeah,
that was the next year. I'm sorry, that was 21.
That was the following year. Yeah, we did not. I was going to say, like, literally all of 2020 we did. We did fall of 2020.
No, we did. We spent New Year's together.
Of 21. No, we brought in.
We brought in 21.
We also brought in
22.
Yeah.
2020.
So that was the thing too that we had for a long time, which we stopped just because life. But we had a tradition where we would spend New Year's together every single year.
Kind of habit. Like, I don't even remember it like being a tradition. It was like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
We did. Yeah, we did pretty much every year.
Yeah, for like
until
22, because I got sick.
22.
Or maybe it's 21. I think it was 21 because
we brought in 21 because that was the year that we came up here.
Oh, we rung in 21. Mm-hmm. Right. 22. Yeah, I was sick that year.
Yeah. Well, I was working. So.
That was the year that you told you're the problem.
LOL.
Anyway, so yeah, I think, so at COVID, it wasn't just like COVID itself, but also like all the stuff that was happening after COVID. So like you had a full-time job, I had just graduated and I got my full-time job, and I think a lot of things came out realization-wise, I don't know, but basically you didn't enjoy what you were doing, I didn't enjoy the atmosphere I was in, and you went back to school, I went back to school. Well, I had like, genuinely, I was so upsetting because like I spent 6 years in school to then have a moment and be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, I literally changed careers.
You literally.
Because I had gotten a 4-year degree, and I will never forget, it was the day after Christmas of 2020. And, of December of 2020. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I was looking at like everything under the sun, like bartending on a cruise line or being an esthetician. Like, I had no idea. And who knows at that age? Like,
really, who knows now?
Exactly.
As we start a podcast.
You know, and now though, like I was just researching everything, but I was like, I don't want to get rid of this degree that I have. And so I chose something that would allot for the credits that I already had. And so thus me officially graduating as a music therapist. Yeah. And it's definitely the place that I need to be. Like, that's definitely who I am.
It's so funny because you started out college with psychology and you said, actually, let me go into music education.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, well, really what did it was, I don't know, your solo trip around the world. Your solo trip around the United States.
Yeah. So that was a really big realization for me. Like, I think COVID was kind of that, like, reflection that a lot of people had because it really just, like, shut down time, you know?
It did.
So I was able to, like, really be with, you know, myself and my family and be like, okay, let me reevaluate my life that's happening right now. And so the summer of 2021, I had been planning this trip like the whole year, and I took it by myself, and I went to 7 different states, and I stayed with friends along the way and got to see some like really cool stuff, and it was like all along the East Coast and everything. But yeah, so
you came back a changed woman.
Very pivotal moment for me. I, you know, started, I was like, well, I'm gonna go to school, like I'm gonna like start taking classes online and then like prepare for this big move. And so now currently I'm in St. Louis. So that was the thing, was I moved for this degree to St. Louis. And so that brought on a whole lot of other traditions, because it's like, you know,
I think that brought us to where we are now.
Exactly.
This is the era of we're just girls.
Yep.
We're just girls. Obviously, we're having a girl slumber party, and we are. Here's our performance, parents. We need you to watch it. Okay?
Exactly.
Like, this is our audition.
Yep.
But yeah, like, you moved to St. Louis and like got to do something that I feel like the little you always wanted to do. The little version, you know, little Susie always wanted to like travel and do and heal, and I think the older version of you in the practical anxiety ways is like, nope, we can't do that. We can't do that. How are we going to make money? How are we going to do this? Which is a valid question. And also, I don't know, I think job satisfaction is a huge part of it if you want longevity.
Yeah.
And then I went back to school for my second master's.
Yeah. Period.
Listen, we love educated
We
queens.
just love school. We just love learning. It's fine.
I do enjoy learning. I definitely, like, when we would get our materials for school, I would, like, already be, like, in the workbook, and I would be, like, 2 chapters ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I was that kid.
Yeah.
I always identified with, like, Hermione.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not how you do it. And so...
I'm definitely Ron, so... That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Hello.
We end up married.
So no, I do think, like, I don't know, like, St. Louis is definitely, like, an era within itself, because, like, I don't know how many times I've been up. I've been to St. Louis more now than I think I have in my entire life.
Well, that was the thing, is, like, you know, you grew up going to St. Louis, and so when I decided that I wanted to move there and, like, choose that school, you were like, perfect.
Here we go.
Like, I know the ins and outs. And that trip that I mentioned earlier, that we had all taken with our little relationships or whatever, we went to St. Louis. So,
we did.
That was like a little foreshadowing moment, you know?
A picture of the arch.
Yep.
Nah.
So, that's crazy. LOL. But yeah, so... You know, I went to St. Louis. We just had to, once again, put in that effort. Like, go visit each other and whatever. And I think that, you know, made us stronger. I think just time and...
I think people who understand. And what I mean by this. So, hear me out. I think when you've lived somewhere that you didn't grow up or that isn't easily accessible, I think it has a greater appreciation of what effort looks like. So, like... We have a friend who they don't live near us anymore. They used to live in Memphis, but now they don't even live in the state. They don't even live near the state. And like anytime he was in town, I was like, "Oh, I'll come and meet you." Like, because at that time he wasn't living where he is now. But I think an hour drive, whatever, everybody can do an hour drive, but when you start when you're in a car for 4, 5, 6, 7, you have to take a plane ride, first of all, life happens, and, like, life's hard to, like, carve out that time. And financially. Also, and financially, and sometimes I just don't think, I don't think some people want to genuinely put that effort in. Like, why do I have to try so hard? And it's like, well, I don't know. I also grew up in a family that traveled a lot. Like, we traveled to family Christmases.
Exactly.
We traveled to see friends. My mom played softball while I was growing up. And so, you know, we traveled I had visited, like, 13 states before I was 3.
Right.
So traveling wasn't a thing. I was like, oh, okay, like, we're going to be in a car for 2 hours? Cool. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I had no issue, like, coming to see you. And that was my thing, is, like, I love to travel. I love to go see new places. So it's like, oh my God, you're in this new city. Let's go. Let's
go explore.
So.
We're going to go explore.
Exactly. And then when, like, I love hosting people too. So I'm like constantly having people come to my apartment, come visit me. I'll take you out. I'll take you to my favorite restaurant places that I found. Exactly. And let's find new places and new traditions and, you know.
Well, now we're going to head into our last era. No.
It's so exciting! Yes. So, obviously, we're starting this. This is our new little podcast era. Woo-hoo. And we are in the process of starting a a partnership together. Yeah. But like a private practice. And as music and art therapists. And we are moving to Nashville! It's like Nashville.
Yes. So we're like, first of all, we're going to be in the same state for the first time.
Same city, basically. Oh my God!
Listen,
I know.
So before we close this out, I just wanted to say that literally the day, so I already knew that I was going to have to move due to my work and things like that. I've been traveling for the past 2 years, and I was like, it's time. Some changes happened. I was like, oh yeah, like I feel comfortable. It's time to like move on and let's go. So that happened in October. You called me in December. Same revelation time period. And it was like, actually, I'm coming back home to Nashville. And when I tell you on the phone, I'm like sobbing.
Literally.
Like I start crying, not because it's like yes, I'm like really happy, but it's also that idea. I think here's the second piece of advice, realization. I see you, I feel you, I understand you. I feel like your later 20s are really lonely. For me it was.
Yeah.
Of just like, this is not where I want to be. So, like, I made friends, but it didn't feel like this.
Yeah.
And so...
Mine was a struggle. It is still a struggle, but, like,
When you struggle with people around, it's different than just struggling on your own.
Of course.
And so, yeah, I think, like, I definitely cried because it's that idea of, like, I don't have to plan a weekend. I can literally just come plop on your couch if I want to.
I know. And I can just go get dinner. We can just go get a drink because we're capable of that now.
I think, like, I don't know. I just feel like if you were in college and you can just walk to your friend's apartment, like, cherish that.
Yeah.
Because, like, we get to do this, but, like, I just think about all of the people that we knew. And, like, my door was never locked. There was always people over. And, like, just missing a time when I didn't have to drive 2 hours to go see someone or 4 hours.
5.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that this new era, which we haven't titled, we don't know what it is yet. But the next chapter, it's the climb.
The climb. LOL. Yeah, we're climbing to our final achievement. Like,
we're gonna die after.
We're gonna die. No, we're gonna retire. I'm ready to start working and be done.
See, I don't know if I feel that way. I think, I mean, yeah, like, retiring sounds great. And also, like, I think if you enjoy something, it doesn't feel like working. Maybe I'm of that brainwashed mentality. I don't know.
No, but I mean, that's so real. And, like, I think that, like, this new practice that I'm getting into, like, it's just, like, a really, like, cool, safe group of people that's, like, you know, to work around. But, like, that's what I want with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You've never got to call your own shots. So I think that's why you're like, I'm ready to retire already. Like, stop telling me what to do. And that... Yeah, that's frustrating. So this next chapter is exciting, and I'm excited to do this and spill a little bit of tea and finish our actual degrees. And right now we're in limbo, so it's gonna be exciting what all these months are gonna hold.
Exactly. Okay, well, it's 2:22. It's time to stop. The universe is telling us to stop. Cheers. Stay groovy.
Bye.
That's cute.
That was cute. Did we just do it?
I want to watch it!
Young and sweet, only 17. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay.
I don't know.
And you're watching Disney Channel.
Exactly.
Pain. Who are we?
I don't know. In the arts, I'm a music therapist myself, and
I'm an art therapist, so art is job.
Yeah, art is job. Art equals life. Yeah,
music is job. Oh, I thought we were doing the lyric analysis of Dancing Queen.
Oh, I thought we weren't doing that.
I don't know. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I feel like we don't have time to listen to the whole thing.
But you don't have to listen. I don't mean a literal analysis. Like, why did we pick the song?
Oh.
You said, let's turn this into therapy.
I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Okay. I feel like we should get up and dance. But you don't have pants on.
I don't have pants on. I don't have pants on.
I gotta put one out for the homies.
R.I.P.
It's 222, babies.
Hey, yes, okay. Perfect. And this is like round 3 of trying to film this. So
the universe is telling us to stop.
Yes, congratulations.